Hi there guys, Mr. Hoover back from the video, and today I wanted to give my thoughts and review on the final season of The Boys. I know I'm like almost 2 weeks late, but yeah, I'm sorry about that, but yeah, I'm just gonna get into my thoughts, and this will contain all obviously full spoilers for all 8 episodes of The Boys, like all the boys, all the Genevieve, like all of it. I mean, it might not contain technically, it might not, but like it might say so. And but yeah, just getting into it. Ultimately, I thought this was a great season. I can't believe how many people like hate or dislike this season, and like the reasons are always so stupid. Like this was honestly my favorite season of The Boys. In the Boys universe, they had so many. They had two. They had my two favorite episodes of The Boys, and ultimately, I think that they really did stick the landing for the finale. But yeah, I just think overall, it's just a great season. So to start off with my overall things on The Boys is that I started watching it probably around like I don't know, probably around like late 2022 ish. So like after the third season, but like it was way before Gen V. So it was probably around like I'm not sure. I think it was like probably like really like late, probably like around September 2023 is when I started watching The Boys. Yes, probably somewhere around there. But ultimately, I did really like the first season. Over time, I have kind of sullied on the show. I don't know, 5 years or somewhere, right? But ultimately, over the time, I haven't liked the show as like much as I did because I think that season one is good, but it's not like great or anything. Season two is really good. Season three is really good, and that gets better. And then so it was getting better each season, in my opinion. And then we just kind of got season four, which completely sucked balls. It's not even like it was bad; it was mid because they did some really good stuff in it, like the segment, like the part of the episode where Homelander was like, terrorizing the people, like went to where he was raised. Like I think that's some really good stuff. I think that what they did with Huey's dad was also some really great stuff, and even the ending was like really great. But ultimately, it's not even that the political messaging, yeah, especially with hindsight, um, like it was. I don't really care about that. I mean, I think that so, but like it's just like it was too boring. It was too slow. Everything was dragged out. Um, and yeah, and just even then, like it got to the point where like Starlight was just real super annoying. Frenchie and Kimiko's subplot I could not care less about. Um, anytime they were on screen that wasn't part of like any other subplot, I was like going, oh my god, it was just so bad. And then Huey literally gets raped like a bunch of times, and then Starlight slut shames him. Like throughout the entire season of that, he's getting sexually assaulted like every term. Sexually assaulted by Ashley and Tech Knight, and then he also gets raped like so many times by a shapeshifter pretending to be Annie. And like I know what Annie went through was like traumatizing, but like still like to slut shame Huey for being raped, like that's so evil. Like and yeah, that really did annoy me. I do like how they dressed it this season, but yeah. And then this season I thought was ultimately such a great season. People are calling it filler. Not a single episode in this is filler. What I would call filler. There is filler in season four, and like even like but like I think that most of these are just stories they want. If there's supposedly filler, which isn't exactly part of the main plotline that much, it's probably a story that they wanted to tell, and it's probably really good. Okay, so I'm just yeah. So like starting off here was just episode one review. Unfortunately, I did get a lot of spoiler for me for episode one. Um, because my brother was off doing stuff, so I had to wait for him to come back to watch the episodes. So yeah. So I did get the fact that Atrian died obviously spoiled for me, but yeah, whatever. I'll get to that. I'll get to all this stuff. So I did think episode one was really good. We do have the introduction of a character in the comics, O'Father, who's just like a pedophile in the comics. I like the direction they went by here. That he's, like this fake Christian person. And like I really like the rap when they went down, but like you just kind of get introduced here. You know, the Flight 37 video gets released. That wasn't. It kind of felt weird because they kind of just like got it out of the way. That does happen with a couple things in this with like a couple things in this season where they just kind of like it's something that's been set up in the past, and then they just kind of, you know, oh, you know, it's out of the way now, right? Because we don't really have plans for it. So that's whatever. We see that Kimiko escaped internment for some reason, which was I found stupid, and that the rest of the boys team except for like Starlight, Kimiko, and Butcher are in the like concentration camp. One thing that I really liked about this episode is that we didn't take a long time to introduce Butcher, right? Because what I really thought was gonna happen was that it was gonna be that Kimiko and Starlight and A-Train and maybe the Gen V's crew would go and they would try to break out. They would go try to break out Huey, Frenchie. No, I never. I just thought it was gonna be no, I didn't think about Kimiko because I didn't know that Kimiko was released, but I thought that it was gonna be, you know, A-Train, Starlight, and the Gen V crew trying to break out the rest of the boys like Kimiko, Huey, Frenchie, and Mother Smoke from the concentration camp, and they would have to go fight Homelander. And at the end of the episode, when everybody seems like they're gonna die, Butcher shows up. He fights off Homelander. And then yeah, but I'm really happy they didn't do that because I don't like they did sort of the same thing. Obviously not the same thing, but they did sort of the same thing where he came out at the end of season 2, episode 1, and I think that first episode of season 2, although I do really like season 2, I think that episode does really drag. Like that episode like does significantly drag, especially without Butcher. Like nothing really happens, and that gets like yes, yeah. I was really happy to see him come in, recruit Kimiko, and one thing that then like I was happy to see him go kill his dad. I thought that was interesting. One thing that I thought was weird was that Butcher like hugs his dad, and then it just cuts, and he's like, go talk to Lily. I was like, oh yeah, I killed my dad. He's like, no, you never. I was like pretty sure he never killed his dad. That's a clear misdirect. But his dad seems to be dead because we never see him again. Like even in the final episode, like it seems like the kind of thing that maybe even in the final episode after this whole season where he would show up at like Butcher's funeral and he would be like, "Oh, I thought he killed you." Like no, but like whatever. Like it would seem like something that would happen, but no, because like I just assumed that they would show him, like even with him hugging, like a tentacle just came through his chest and stabbed him. Like that's all that I need to confirm the fact that he's dead. It felt like a weird misdirect of a misdirect, and it was weird. So yeah, that was just weird, but I was happy to see Butcher here. And here comes one of my biggest negatives like of the season. Like, it's not my biggest, is one of them, is the fact that Kimiko talks now. Now, I know this was a development that was made in season 4, but I do like what they did in season 4, where she finally breaks it. She finally, after Frenchie was getting kidnapped by Kate from Gen V, she finally breaks her silence. She like flips out. She's like starts speaking, which I really like. But however, and I was fine. I was happy to see her talking to Trails. I was like, yeah, that's good. That seems good. That seems fun. That seems like a smart plan. I'm happy that she's talking. That's good character development. And then she started talking, and it was just her lines. I mean, her lines. She's not even the same character anymore. First off, she's not only an aggravating and annoying character, but she's not even the same character. Like, if this was introduced as a character, I'd be like, oh my god, why do we have this as a character? But it's the fact that she's not even the same character. She was a cool character. She was a cool, interesting character. I know, like I said, like, oh, I was bored by her and Frenchie subplot. That's nothing against her and Frenchie as characters. That's just the fact that the subplots were boring. She was a cool, interesting, tortured character in the first 4 seasons. Then now, you finally make her talk. And what does she say? Her first lines, like some of her first lines are, and lots of fucking TikTok. It's like, shut up. That's not the character. That's so stupid. That's stupid. And she's swearing every 10 seconds because of course they're edgy and they have to say, "Oh fuck," because we're not the MCU and we're mature because we say fuck every 10 seconds like a fourth grader. Like it's like it makes them look more immature the more that they just pointlessly swear and or had in all these like f bombs because just for the sake of it. Like I'm fine with them being in there, but like it gets to the degree where it's like you're just saying it to be like edgy and like we're mature. Like you're not mature. You sound like a fourth grader who thinks they're cool, and edgy because they say fuck every 10 seconds. It's really annoying and it makes them look immature, and like not good writers. But yeah, that's whatever. It was really annoying. And later on, she's like, "Suck my fat dick." To Homelander, it's so stupid. But um, obviously, I do think that there's still good stuff here. Um, like it's still a really good episode overall. Um, I like the Deep and A-Train's last confrontation. Um, I just like when they finally go to the internment camp. And they see um, and they see Homelander and like I also like the interaction with Butcher and him, and then makes it even funny that he's like, "You never told me this one's name was Mother's Milk." Oh, and also I forgot to mention we do get a character who's like a writer called the Worm, and yeah, I think that he was a pretty funny character. One thing I thought was gonna happen, and this is also like a minor criticism I have with other episodes, is that I thought that what was gonna happen was that like Homelander was gonna laser him in half, and then there were gonna be like two of him, built out of the second half. Just like embrace the worm. That would be like a cooler concept. They even like hinted it with like it was like, isn't that the where Butch is like, isn't that how you whatever, like they do hint at it and they don't really do it, which I think is kind of a missed opportunity. He just kind of eats dirt. Um, but whatever, I do like the character still. And then there's I forgot to mention there's like a Huey and Homelander confrontation, which I think does really work because Huey's kind of just like he's like standing up to Homelander, which is pretty cool. And then yeah, so then there's a big fight scene with Love Sausage and Mother's Milk and Sydney and stuff. I did think that Sydney was gonna die here, and I think that they probably should kill her because there really isn't any reason for her to continue on. Because like when Butcher had like her hands and he was like gonna break her neck with the tentacles, then Homelander was like, they should like why not just say kill her? I know, so like she literally dies 2 episodes later by getting her neck broken by Starlight. Okay, like there's not that big a deal. I know, but yeah, like but yeah, that's it. That's all that she does. And then there's a big fight between Love Sausage and Mother's Milk, where he kills off Love Sausage, which I think it's whatever. Love Sausage's character was like he was just kind of okay in every season because in the first season he was introduced with season 2 where he was just like a super villain who fought him and it was like just like an experiment, and then the next season he was just in Hero Chasm. Then in season 4 he was just he was like working with Vought, and now he's just like a prison guard. I much prefer the Love Sausage in the comics, where he's like just essentially a boys member in the comics, but whatever, and just friends with Billy. But yeah, then there's obviously the whole big, and then finally A-Train does show up. He saves Huey. I did see, obviously got the fact that A-Train died spoiled, and the fact that he saved Huey spoiled. And the fact that and the whole like Robin scene spoiled, but I get that. He saves Huey, he saves Mother's Milk. I found it really cool. He did the time of the bottle moment. And then Homelander's chasing him, he runs away, which lets the rest of the boys escape. And then I find it so cool because he seems to be like almost getting away, because obviously he's a fast man alive, he's faster than Homelander. He'll probably get to somewhere where he's safe, right? But then I love the fact that he's running and then he dodges away to save that woman, just like the reverse of Robin, because that's so cool. That's such like an awesome moment, and it just shows the fact that like A-Train ended up becoming here, which is awesome. Because like mostly in time in like superhero media, if like a big superhero is gonna die, they're gonna die, like saving the world or saving a bunch of people, like stopping the villain, from doing this or doing that, or like saving a city or saving a bunch of lives. But the fact that like he died, sacrificed himself just to save one life, that I really just saved one life. I did really like that. That was really cool. And you could argue, oh no, we saved Huey and saved all the rest of the boys. Yeah, he did that too, but he seemed to be safe. He seemed like he was gonna survive, but he sacrificed his life just for that one woman, and then that does lead to A-Train, essentially just directly laughing in Homelander's face, and Homelander killing him. So yeah, rest in peace, A-Train. But yeah, moving on to episode 2. We do get this. It does start off with A-Train's funeral. Also, one thing I think they should have done is, why wasn't Oathfather a part of the 7 in the first episode? Like, he never joins He never joins the 7, and I get it was essentially just so they could keep the running joke of, oh, we only have there's never 7 members of the 7. It's just kind of stupid. It's annoying. Okay, and people like I think also there's a misconception of that, where people do think that that's been a running gag since season 1, where people have been like. But people have been like, there haven't been 7 members of the 7 since season 1, episode 2. That's not true at all. There were 7 members of 7 in season 3. Obviously they killed off a member there, but they're trying to get 2 new members because Translucent died, and the Stormfront took his place, and the Deep left the team, and then Translucent, but then like Stormfront was obviously exposed as a Nazi, and then ruined by Ryan, then killed. But yeah, the point is there's 5 members, and they added 2 members in the Deep again, and then Supersonic. So that was 7 members. Then obviously there hasn't been since then, but they should have. Last season it was a complaint of mine that they didn't have another soup in the 7, and it's even worse here because they had Oathfather, who seems like he was part of the 7, but they're like, oh, we don't want to keep that running gag. Let's just keep the running gag. That was just stupid. But whatever, but yeah, we have A-Train's funeral, where we find out that Oathfather's ability here is that he has, the scream powers of like Banshee, Black Canary, Black Bolt, which I think is cool. He does fly in the comic, but I do like that change here. I do really like what they did with Oathfather's character. I thought he was hilarious. I thought that he was just a really good character overall. So yeah, but then, they do see that like, Homelander's actually is like kind of like sad about A-Train's death, and he's like, why did you make me do this? He's like why'd you do this? Like, I didn't want to kill you. I was like the older brother that you never had, which is funny because they did have an older brother. But he's all like, oh, I took care of Popclaw, which like A-Train did that, but whatever. And he's like, why'd you make me do this? Why'd you make me kill you? Which I think is interesting. And yeah, I did like that. But then, ultimately, then Butcher brings him back to like where he's been hiding out, and like it's all like, and he's like brings him to Samir, who was Victoria Newman's husband, and then he did kill Victoria Newman. He's been forcing him to work on the virus, which I do like. So yeah, but yeah, so yeah. And then I lost my train of thought. But then he's also like, let's go, so then he's like, well, and we need to test the virus out to see if it works on somebody as powerful as Homelander. So it's like the second most powerful person, like the second most like unbreakable super Homelander, I guess, would be this guy, Rockhard. But yeah, so he's like, okay, let's go just do that to him then, who's part of the Teenage Kicks. And one thing I do find stupid is that they finally brought in the Teenage Kicks, but they only use 1 member from the original comics. Technically, in the entire show's existence, they've used 3 members. Dognot was a character in the Teenage Kicks. He does appear in this season, but he's also appeared in like Gen V season 2. But he was a member of the Teenage Kicks in the comics. Also, Popclaw was one, which we do see that she was a member, but she was like retired from being a member. When we met her in season 1, so yeah. But yeah, I don't like that. I find it stupid. Also, one thing that I also find stupid is that they really don't use care is that like there was like a perfect thing they could have used here. But in the comics, there are these like very small characters, who are essentially just a parody of the Fantastic Four. There's like a stretchy guy's leader. There's like I think either a rock or like a metal guy, and then like an invisible girl and like a fire kid. So that does all make sense. They could have just used those because there are 4 members here, and one of them's a rock guy who's clearly a parody of the Thing, and the Thing isn't a part of the Teen Titans. So yeah, but yeah, then there's also a part where we see Soldier Boy come back, which is just absolutely incredible to see Soldier Boy finally come back. He is my favorite character in this entire show. I mean, overall, he's just a great character. And yeah, I just love seeing him back finally. Roy Jensen Ackles plays him as like super funny, and yeah. But so yeah, anyway, but just so he's finally back, and he's just going up. And he's like come back and he tries to like kill Butcher off, and he's working with Homelander. And right off the bat, he was hilarious. Like the fact that like his first line, like "Did you fuck me?" Like oh, so Jensen Ackles is just amazing in the role. So yeah, and yeah, there's obviously it was like we see them like Mother's Milk and Countess Crow, which is just whatever. I really don't care that like it's not really that big a deal. It's kind of weird that they randomly had this being here, even though their kind of character arc for Mother's Milk was that he was getting like hardened like Butcher, but whatever. And they continue that even after this episode. So yeah, but yeah, we obviously see the Teenage Kicks, Jet Shriek, who was the one character in the comics. He tries to kill like Huey, and then he ultimately does die from the soup killing virus alongside Rockhard, and and then yeah, so then there's Sheelan, who again isn't a member who isn't a character in the comics, which just kind of pissed me off. I do like the parody that they had, like a parody of like the Hype House or like Team 10, with like them like having like a car terrorist house. I thought that was pretty funny. And that's like the only reason I could see them making it the Teenage Kicks besides the other team. So yeah, I know, but yeah. So then, we see Soldier Boy survives when they release the Superclone virus, and Sheelan seemingly survive for a fight with well, she does survive this, but the point, like, because I can't tell, because it does seem like Kimiko killed her, but I can't tell if like this is just like, oh, she knocked her out, because the way they killed her was like kind of like, okay, she might be alive, right? And she is alive. But the thing is, like, one thing I find stupid is that they really didn't use the fact that she's a cat to their potential, right? I think Kimiko should have just killed her in an absolutely brutal way in this episode. She should have just punched a hole like through her face, tore her in half, like tore her face off. Something very violent, very brutal, very awesome to see. And then next time we see her, we could still see her in the next episode. We could still see her a few episodes from now. Because guess what? I know this isn't really real, but cats have 9 lives. It's a whole like, well, I'm like 99.9% sure that's not real. But, we could use that as the fact that she has cat abilities. She dies in a horror way. She comes back. That makes sense. You could have, like, Mother Both being like, you could have someone being like, well, why is she alive? And it's like, oh, cats have 9 lives. Or you could just, like, let the audience assume it. Because, like, they're either, like, or you could just be smarter and just, like, be like, we don't have to write it out. They'll get it. Like, they'll get it. They'll get it. Like, it might take, like, oh, didn't she die? And it's like, oh, yeah, she's a cat. Like, you could have just done that. But now, whatever. And I could also leave the door open for potentially bring her back in other the boys things. Because we do see her die again, but again, she She might have 9 lives. Although maybe those 9 lives been used up, maybe they weren't. We could still see her again, right? We could see her a lot of times, and we could kill her a lot, right? But they didn't really do that, and I guess they still can, but it just would have been cool if they did it here. But whatever, we see that it doesn't infect humans, and we see that Soldier Boy survives. Also, one thing I found really funny is when Soldier Boy came back, and that he was like to the president, like, oh, just get some Soldier Boy something to drink. He's like a Manhattan, and then he's like, right away, would you like some milk? So he's like, no, I'll have a Manhattan too. I like how he's like trying to impress his dad. I thought that was really funny. But yeah, anyways, moving on to episode 3. This one was kind of forgettable. Like, I numerous times, taking notes, because I rewatched a bunch of like videos on recaps of the episodes and took notes while I was watching them numerous times. Like, even after, I had to look at this page multiple times because I kept forgetting what episode 3 was. It's the one where they meet up with Stan Edgar. And there's a lot of cool stuff here. Ryan comes back. He seems to be with the Victoria Newman's kid. This was set up in Genevieve season 2, and we do see Maverick. I do really like to see Maverick, and even what they do with him and Huey later. But yeah, you just like see the team up with Stan Edgar, and I do love the Mother's Milk and Stan Edgar interaction of them like kind of being like friendly with each other and like smoking cigars, and then also being like once Homelander's gone, I'm taking over Vought, and he's like, well, I'll be waiting there for you, and like, yeah, that was cool. That was a cool interaction. But yeah, and then that's whatever. But we do see that Butcher interacts with Ryan, and I was surprised on the fact that what they're doing with Ryan, because last season they were clearly setting up, even kind of in season 3 they were, but like in season 3 it was like, oh, maybe we'll go down the path of Homelander, in the fact that he is smiling when this guy gets killed. So yeah, and then then in season 4 they essentially confirmed it. He straight up murders Mallory. After Holston's name being conflicted, he murders Mallory. And then, then in this episode, he fights Homelander and he gets his ass kicked. And for a good minute, I thought that he was dead. We do see him surviving at the end, but even after the episode ends, I didn't realize that, and neither did my brother. So we were kind of just like, oh, I guess they killed off Ryan, or at least I'm assuming maybe he's alive. But like, I was hoping that he died because he's kind of useless ultimately. There's not really anything for him to do this season. Especially because they set him up so, like, for the past ever since season 2. They even kind of set him up for season 1. So, they've been setting up for a long time now. And it's really nothing happened. But yeah, that's whatever. Sorry guys, I have a weird throat issue. Sorry if it sounds weird or something. But sorry, let's switch thought here. But yeah, and then we do see Dognot Black Noir 2, who wasn't speaking this season, and it led to a lot of theories, none of them were true. That either Homelander tore out his tongue, or it's a clone of Homelander, or it's Ryan, or it's a bunch of other things. But yeah, obviously that didn't end up being true. But we do see the Deep, Dognot, Cindy, and Black Noir 2 breaking in there, and I find it. The Deep was just hilarious this season. But he really started to shine around this episode. Or, obviously there's a lot of him holding, Maverick was sent to do it, and Dognot sniffed him out. But then they caught him, and then he ultimately did turn. But I found it so funny that he was and it's the most brain rot thing, but that's the kind of the point. It's really funny. It's Homelander didn't kill your dad, bro. It was Butcher's crew. It was that sus French guy, and Starlight's boyfriend. What was his name? Howie. No cap on God, bro. This is the funniest thing ever. That was hilarious. But yeah, then we do see Maverick get blown up, which like it's obviously a reference to his father because like it's like poetry and rhymes, but like he dies the same way, and then we just see Cindy getting her neck snapped, which is like by Starlight, which is kind of boring. It did take me a second, like for a second I thought like just took a split second I thought like, oh my god, they killed off you, and then I was like, oh no, it's clearly Maverick. But yeah. But yeah. Yeah, but then we do see the Deep knocking Black Noir out, and then him taking Sandegger for himself. And yeah, that's really whatever. And we see Kimiko being so annoying and being like a bitch and like, no, let's let these two assholes go, even though they just destroyed our only shot at fucking killing Homelander. It's such bullshit. It was really annoying. I really wish Frenchie had just shot that guy. That would have been funny if he just went, I'm sorry, I can't let you leave. You just shot him. Because that would have been funny. But no, instead there's some Kimiko bullshit again. But yeah, whatever. That's whatever. And then Starlight leaves. But then episode 4, this is the one where people hate the most. People are like, it's just filler. It's not filler. It's clearly a story that Eric Kripke wanted to tell. With one last like solo adventure with just a team of boys. While Starlight's off doing her own thing. It's clearly that, okay? It's very fun for it. And I ultimately really like this episode. I thought that it was just ultimately really good. So yeah, we do see Starlight's dad here, which I thought was an interesting character. Because it made sense why he kind of just like left Annie, and I do like what they did with him. Where I was clearly at the start, I was like, oh, it's gonna be an X-Men 2. It is kind of like an X-Men 2. But like I was like, where the son hated Starlight. And then I thought we seen the son, so I was like, okay, so the wife and the dad also hates her. But then ultimately, I do like what they did, where the son kind of seems to like her by the end, and then the dad just he's like a good person. And then the mom is just kind of there, but she's fine too. Then yeah, but yeah, I did like that subplot. I did like that storyline, and then it ultimately just left with her coming back. It just ended with her coming back to Huey and stuff. But then after that, there's there's obviously the boys subplot, because they have an interesting subplot where shit, I forgot. But yeah, I do really like what they did with the boys, where they're all just freaking out each other, getting angry, and it does ultimately end up getting fighting. And I thought that was a really interesting concept for an episode. And then also, what made it even like cooler was that Frenchie wasn't being affected by it because of how many drugs he did over the years. I thought that was just such a great concept for an episode, and I ultimately love the way they executed it. But yeah. So this is where we find out about. So this is where we obviously, but yeah, I do really like the way they did that with them all fighting. Even like Mother's Milk and Huey fighting. I thought that was ultimately super cool. And then we do see a little bit of Black Noir stuff confirming that he was just normal Black Noir, which I was really happy about because I love Black Noir in season 4 of The Boys, because I really like the fact that he was just like this actor who could fly and stuff, and he was just doing this. I thought it was really funny there, and what made him even better was his very small appearance in Gen V season 2, where he just comes in, kills a guy, kidnaps a guy. Then next scene we see him, and he's talking to that guy Polaris, and he's breaking down how like his movie was like disappointing, and wasn't like what, like it just never wasn't good for his fans. I thought that was really funny, and yeah, ultimately that's why. And Black Noir is such a great character, so I'm happy that he didn't like die in between Gen V season 2 and this. Yeah. But yeah. And that's legit. And then we do get the whole Homelander and Soldier Boy plotline, and obviously Soldier Boy's great. This is where we do find out that that Soldier Boy did fuck Stormfront, which is which is like interesting, obviously, and I do but I do like what we did. I don't really like what we did with that ultimately later on the season, because it was funny because like there was a small like little line in season 3 of The Boys where that was a funny line where he's talking to Huey, and it wasn't Hero Gasm. He's talking to Huey and Butcher, and he's like, I started this back in whenever he started with with a firecracker with Liberty, and he's like, well, was she a firecracker or something like that? He said something like that. It was a funny line because like, oh, that's like Stormfront, and it was a cool Easter egg, and just ultimately a funny line. They kind of take that concept and they were like, oh, what if he was like in love with her, which just makes him seem bad. Like, why? I don't think this ultra American guy would want to have a relationship with a Nazi. And even if you didn't know, like, she had a German accent. Like, I think that's kind of hard to miss because we see in the Val Rising trailer, she has a German accent. So yeah, so it's whatever. But it does lead to stuff that's just stupider later on this season. But yeah, that's whatever. And then we just see there's weird like fungi thing which is happening. And yeah, that's we do see the fact that there's like this radiation thing that could severely hurt Homelander, which is a new weakness. It's kind of how that works in like this late in the game, but we do see that here. And we do later see that like in the next episode we do see that Butcher took some of those parts. But yeah, so that's episode 4. And so yeah, moving on to the next episode. And okay, the thing is I'm conflicted here because I kind of do want to review all of this in one video, but I feel like it's taking a long time, and also I'm gonna take a long time to talk about the rest. It's already a 40-minute video. By average, it should take at least another 40 minutes. That makes an 80-minute long video. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna split up in 2 videos. This is the first half where I talk about the first 4 episodes. The next one, I'm just gonna get completely into everything else. So yeah, I will see you all in the next video. Hopefully that one. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.